The fourth set will be played on Whirlwind. Spawning in the bottom right-hand position, once again, as your red Terran from KT Rollster. His name is Flash, currently with 1 kill.
His opponent, spawning as a blue Terran on the left top position of the map. His name is Reality, playing for Samsung Khan.
Now, before things get started here, I wanted to talk a little bit about how Protoss players seem to be doing a lot better in Pro League and get sent out more, while we see less of them in the GSL code S.
Go ahead.
Now, this is my theory, and kind of, I think a lot of people will agree with me, but Protoss, they really lend themselves so well to a best-of-1 scenario where they can catch their opponent off guard. There's so many different types of openings and builds and strategies, utilizing the proxy play with the pylons as well, to kind of trick your opponent and making it very hard for them to figure out every possible situation for that given map and that matchup. So that makes them more popular. They get sent out where in Pro League you can really tailor your builds to your opponent and the map and kind of deal with them. Where in the GSL format, you got to play more players overall, and you have to play best of 3s, best of 5s. You know, it's a little bit harder for the Protoss to take advantage of that fact. And one of the other things I feel kind of that adds on to that, we're seeing a lot more powerful Protoss players come from the Kespa scene than the ESF scene. That's my thoughts. Anything else to add to that?
Not really, except the fact that, you know, like you said, the maps come into the huge play because some of these Protoss players, they don't want to get sent down on maps like Whirlwind because it's easier, it's harder to take the third base, so they play on the maps that they want to, and the coaches send Protoss players out on the maps where they're strong at. And if you look at the map poll from the previous round, New Fighting Spirit and Naro Station work perfect for Protoss players.
Oh, definitely. All right, well, yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on that. If we go into the game here, like I said, last time these guys played against each other, it was on the map Newkirk. It was one of the older versions, but still very close to the current. They had watchtowers back then, and SCV's kissing there, gonna scout each other, but realize there's nothing over in that corner of the map. But basically, Flash, he ended up losing the Reality in that game there.
It was a bio versus mech.
Yeah. Pretty
much. And Flash, he lost his mech army once, and Reality's like, well, if you don't have the mech, I'm just going to push forward and win the game.
I've noticed that, I remember, like, a long time ago, back in Wings of Liberty, people were saying eventually everyone's going to go mech in TvT, and the bioplay will be kind of not as popular anymore, because everything about mech will be figured out, but we're seeing, like, to this day, people are still preferring that bioplay just because of how mobile you can really be with your army, and especially with the addition of the boost to the medevacs, I feel like that just increases that tenfold.
It's just a preference to their style. For example, if you want to go for more medevac drops, if you want to go for more harass-oriented play while getting the map coverage for yourself, then going for the bio is the right answer, but you also have to make sure that you have the nice micro when you engage into the 200 mech army later on in the game. If you want to play more defensively, if you're confident that you can defend against all those medevac drops and want to play more positional play where you have the siege tanks in a nice position such that the bio units cannot attack into that area, then going for the mech is the answer.
So it seems like a preference of mechanics over strategy.
And also the map.
Yeah, and the map definitely plays into that as well. Some maps will certainly favor bio over mech and vice versa. It looks like each of our players here opting to have a very mirrored version of their opponent's build here, it seems like. Quite even overall.
So let's see what these players go for. We don't have any armory coming out, so we're not going to see the massive helmet drop that we've been seeing in TvT more recently. And with the star part, I expect both players to just get out of Viking for medevac drop defense earlier on in the game.
We'll have to wait and see what they want to do with that starport, but Viking, very common follow-up here. Both players trying to get some map control in the middle. Uh-oh. Flash losing his Helland there. Reality taking first blood on that unit there. It's going to force Flash to be maybe a little bit more defensive than he wants to here. but he will still have that high ground advantage. And that scan misses the starport, the racks. So that's actually kind of important that Reality wasn't able to see that. Flash may be able to kind of, do something with that.
Especially the fact that Reality is going to go for the drop play. He has a medevac, so he's going to go for the drop or be really aggressive earlier in the game. So let's see how Reality does it. Actually performs this move, because now he's getting a third command center. He just wants to apply some pressure earlier in the game while securing his third base. Flash still sitting on 2 bases right now, getting a tech lab next to the starport and getting a Raven.
Ooh, Raven. That pretty much points to Mech. Yep. And based on Flash's match history and TvT, I think it's pretty safe to say that we're going to be seeing some Mech from Flash here.
Well, look at this. We have a drop going inside the main base. Does Flash know about this?
Looks like Flash wasn't able to spot that. It looks like Reality's Hellions trying to, kind of distract him there. The Marines being dropped in that main base there. The Viking will eventually be able to take out that medevac. And, we have Hellions running in here. They're going to be able to do a lot of damage to those SCVs here. They're all clumped up. And manages to split those up at the end there. Reality doing a pretty solid job here, dealing out a lot of damage to Flash, forcing him to bring his units off the worker line for a long time. 8 workers killed, despite them being even on supply.
Yes, and he could have killed a lot more workers if Flash wasn't paying attention, but behind this, Reality took a third base relatively easily. He has a siege tank out, bunker going up, so as long as those Hellions do not get inside the main base, Reality is going to be fine.
Yeah, he's going to be perfectly fine, man. And
here comes the Hellions.
The Hellions are moving in here. Are they going to commit? Sees 1 siege tank shot, and the Hellions are like, well, we don't want to get hit by that tank again. We're going to get out of here.
Well, we do have the Raven, and Flash is saying, well, I need to deal some same amount of damage that you just dealt to me, so I'm going to try to stay around here and see what I can do. But at the last second, he says, well, not today. This is too risky, and my opponent can win the game right after if I give up my Hellions right now.
That's true. All right, well, looking at Reality's side of the map, he is going to go ahead and get that double engineering bay. A little mistake there. I think he meant the research +1 armor as well, but didn't have the gas to quite do that. And he's
there we go.
There we go, getting the +1 armor. I saw 2 additional barracks go down, so he will be going into that bio play. We're seeing Flash, of course, getting the double armory down. 2 more factories as well. With that 3rd command center, he's going mech, like we mentioned.
This is not going to be good for Flash in the long run, I have to say. Well, if it goes to the really long run, then Flash is going to be fine. But if you just look at the situation at this point, Reality has more SCVs than his opponent. His 3rd command center finished up earlier than his opponent. And pretty much the situation that Reality's in right now, that's the situation that a mech player wants to be in right now.
Yeah. The reality of the situation is that Flash wishes he was in Reality's situation.
Yes.
How about that for you guys? How about
too many
them
realities
apples?
in one sentence.
Yeah.
Well,
too much minds there, man. Too many minds.
I didn't know. I didn't expect the mine to be in there. But Reality taking up 3rd base finally, and all he has to do is fortify this position and be aggressive around the map, making sure that Flash does not get a 200 maxed out army relatively easily.
We'll probably be seeing a lot more drops come from both players here momentarily. We do have the servos upgrade for those Hellbats, going to allow them to morph into the Hellions there. We also have some Hellbats on the way. 1-1 on the way for Flash as well for his mech army composition. The +1 attack and shield upgrades just about to finish for Reality here, and his stim should finish around the same time as that armor, maybe a little bit later on.
Is it just me, or is the Hellbat upgrade icon same as the Hellbat?
It is. It is.
I was confused for a second.
Don't worry, man. Well, it's not lazy. They just want to make it clear to the viewers out there
that Hellbats are Hellbats.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, maybe they could show like a different colored Hellion for that or something if you want to be like really picky about it.
Now, Reality, little mistake, he didn't time the armory well, so the +2/+2 is still not started for him. However, he is going to have the concussive shell out on the way, and Stimpack is almost finished.
+2 attack is on the way here. We're going to see that +1 armor very soon here. Reality, though, deciding, hey, you know what? I want a few more Marauders first. I'm going to get those instead. Flash really focusing on his Hellbat production here. We're not seeing any air units from him, though. No medevacs for potential drop play, which is something that I would expect from Flash, given his last game, given how effective those Hellbat drops are. But now Reality moving across the map here. It looks like he wants to get that map control. He is currently pretty far ahead in supply by about 20 or so.
But remember, that's Spire units, which means that he's going to have more units than his opponent, but those are more squishy than the tanks over there.
It's true. Those two tanks kind of just chilling out in the front there, though. They don't have a lot of Hellbat support. The Marauders may be able to just stim in and do the damage, but here we go. These are the Hellbat harassments we were talking about from Flash, and at the same time, that command center is going to get taken out. These tanks are going to get completely obliterated here. Flash caught out of position. SCV is being pulled off the mineral line, and now the rest of Flash's Hellion and Tank Force being moved over here to this attack. But at the same time, Flash has been able to do a solid amount of harassment with his Hellbats.
Yeah, and when Reality tried to push up the ramp, Hellbats were there to roast every single Marines. Really nice job by Flash taking out a lot of this army, but look at this. Reality still has tons of units, and he's going to go for the drop.
The Ravens and the Raven and the Vikings a little bit out of position here. The drop just going straight to the main base. He wants to get a very solid position here. The tanks are going to be able to siege up. Nice point defense drone going down. That's going to force this Bio Army away. Reality trying to do as much damage as possible here. He's being quite cost efficient overall, though.
It does make the Bioforce run away, but where does he run away? Into deeper inside Flash's main base. He just allowed him to drop in a perfect position and dealt a lot of damage, but those siege tanks are out of position by Reality. He needs to either reinforce really fast or get those siege tanks in a different location.
Something really important to point out here, guys. Flash is actually caught up in supply against Reality. That drop ended up not doing as much damage as expected there. Flash, you know, he is slightly ahead on tanks as well, which is great when both players do go for the tanks here. And Reality, it looks like he is going to get out of there, man.
Reality has to get out of there because of the supply situation. If he has the same number of supplies, Flash is going to have the better positioning because of the defender's advantage, and he's going to outright win the engagement if Reality pushes in. So what Reality has to do right now is to get more turrets up inside the main base against the Hellbat drops, get some static defense while also getting a fort base at this point, trying to get as many units out as possible from those barracks.
And as we can see from Flash here, moving across the map with those, the double medevacs are going to go for a Hellbat drop over at this natural here. I think he was looking maybe if there's anything at that potential fourth base spot, he'd go for it. He's going to move in there, and the thing is, there are not a lot of units to defend against this Hellbat drop. Now moving in here, the SCV is going to get completely roasted.
But there's another drop going inside the main base.
That's right, and he's not going to try to cut off those units there. SCV is running away once again. The medevacs one does survive here, and Flash's Hellbat drop actually doing nothing but making these SCVs just kind of run around their bases there.
What's Reality? It's really nice timing, but
here we
Hellbats.
Go. This Hellbat drop doing a lot of damage, killing off a lot of SCVs. Reality went from 74 to 61 SCVs there, and he's got to be careful. Doesn't want to lose any more of those. Barely saves those. If Flash was microing that a little bit more, he would have killed off so many more SCVs.
And it was so risky. It was so risky by Reality, sending those SCVs at the mineral line at the last second. You don't want to do that. If you clump up all the SCVs, Hellbats are like, well, free shots on SCVs, and I'm gonna get promoted back in my main base.
All right, well, the supplies are still pretty even at this point. Reality has a drop prepared for Flash's potential fourth here. At the same time, he is grabbing his fourth base zone. And the tank count for Flash, though, up to 17. It's a pretty impressive number there. Reality still has that map control, though.
Yeah, that's what you get as a bio player. But
Widow Mines, I don't think that Reality realizes that. Oh, he does see them perfectly
nice
in
scan,
time, but they still go off, kill off a good amount of units there. And this command center forced to lift off here. Flash now moving into position. At the same time, we have a drop with those units there at the natural of Flash there. He's going to be able to take that out. The command center is on fire here, but it looks like it will survive. Flash moving some SCVs over there to repair it, and he does deflect this drop without taking too much damage.
You know, as earlier in the game, it's easier to defend, against all of these drops because the map is so large. It takes a longer time for your opponent to get there. By starting from this point, Flash needs to be careful because now he's expanding all around the map, and it's hard to cover all those locations.
And now we have another run by from Reality here. Another lift force. This is the power of that bio play, you can just be all over the map. He's
Oh,
so
but
mobile.
look at this drop on top of siege tanks.
The siege tank's getting completely obliterated. This was a very cost-efficient trade for Flash here. Reality now down the 163 to 182 supply, and unsieging those tanks in the middle of the map there. Reality may be ready to kind of hightail it out of there.
Yeah, I think it's better for him to slowly hightail out of there if he sees Flash's units moving out. And here we go. Flash is going to move out on the map. He does have +2 right now, +3, finishing pretty soon. Reality's +3 bio is still far from being finished.
The +3 just finishes in time. Flash now moving out with his main army composition, dropping the Hellbats onto the tanks there, and he's moving forward. He has tank siege, tanks unsieged as well. Flash taking a dominating command of this game here, moving forward with all of his mech army. Finally, we are seeing Flash's mech in action here. He's showing us what he's been wanting to do in this matchup, making it work.
And it's not even like Reality was able to take out all of the siege tanks from Flash. Look at this. We still have 7 siege tanks, 8 siege tanks in this main army, 3 more siege tanks out on the way, and Reality doesn't have enough forces to defend against the Hellbats.
The Hellbats just roasting everything up there. The Marines and the Marauders forced to move back. And
little overextension by Flash at the last second.
He does lose pretty much all his Hellbats here, but he has the positioning, and he is still quite far ahead in supply. 161 to 141, so about a 20 supply lead for Flash. He doesn't have the +3 armor, but he does have that +3 attack. We're seeing a drop here going on those tanks. There's nothing to really guard them there. Reality now moving forward with a large portion of his army, but it's just getting completely eaten alive by those tanks. A lot of Flash's tanks do manage to go down, but he is just climbing up ahead, even more in supply, while taking out this third base expansion over here.
Now Reality is saying not so fast. I'm not going to GG out just in game because I have enough money for one more round of units. But after that, look at his economy right now. He's sitting on 108 supply, only 500 minerals, and his next army is going to be the last one.
Reality's economy is in shambles at this point. Without access to the minerals of the third, his main, his natural are pretty much all mined out, I would say, by this point. Flash is moving forward into the heart of his opponent's army here. He doesn't care if his units get hit by a few siege tanks. He has way more units than his opponent.
Those Hellbats are doing a lot of damage against all of those bio. All the siege tanks are getting taken down one by one. Reality trying to go for the counter drop, but it's already scouted in the middle of the map.
And Reality will be able to go ahead and take that out. Very smart by him to try to pick off reinforcements wherever he can. The biggest issue, though, is Flash. He's already at the natural of Reality and taking out everything there. Those Marauders will get forced away at this point.
Cutting off reinforcements? What reinforcements if you're going to die to them?
Exactly. You can't even take them out. Now the supply, 168 to about 86 here. Reality, man, I think it's only a matter of time before he GG's here.
This is just a slow death, and all Flash has to do is leapfrog with all of the siege tanks while joining the main force with the reinforcements. Reality trying to make the best out of the situation by trying to snipe siege tanks one by one, but it is not going to be enough. If he takes down 3 siege tanks, 5 more siege tanks arrive at the natural, and Reality just not looking good in this game.
He has to face the reality, man. He lost this game. He must GG to Flash.
You know,
Fantasy GG timing, by the way, guys. There it is. GG is called.
Well, you can't say fantasy GG timing because that's a little bit later.
That's right. If you want to get technical, he has like one burning command center in like the corner of the map. That's the fantasy GG timing.
Now, I want to say Flash, it seems like he figured out how to play mech. Because all of these players are like, oh, mech is a nice strategy that I could go for and pretty much do it without going for a timing. But Flash is like, well, if I play like a strategy, main strategy, instead of going for a timing, I'm going to die right away. So what I'm going to do is try to harass as much with the Hellbats and then